I need y'all to help me out with this one. I need y'all to help me out. Now, this is a story. Hey! West Philadelphia, born and raised.
Hey, welcome to Everybody Loves Raymond. We're here in the screening room of the Barone Zone. We've got our posters hung up of all of the great shows. We've got Raymond, of course. We've got Yes Dear. We've got According to Jim. These are the great shows, and of course our golden framed Fresh Prince poster. What you just heard was a clip from Live 8 in 2005, where the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff performed the theme song from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and we bought that souvenir tape on our way out of Live 8. I'm Adam Rudy, and I'm here with Mike D and Alex Shear, by the way. The three of us were there. Yeah, we were 9 years old.
We were 9 years old, but I remember that was a really good concert.
It was great.
That is the only memory I have of it. I don't know any other songs that were played, but I do remember that very hype moment in the crowd.
Well, we came only for Will, and then we left immediately afterwards.
We had to beat the traffic. We got to get out of the parking lot before the line forms.
There was the three of us. We took somebody's car, some old lady down the street, I guess, and
we were 9. We didn't bother to check.
Yeah, you know what? We were young. We were very inexperienced. We just kind of did what came naturally.
This is when the three of us lived in Philadelphia together.
These were our stooge eras.
Yeah.
And then we actually, fun fact, drove from this concert to our new house in Lynbrook, New York, where we started laying the foundation for what would eventually become the Barone Zone. So
literally laying the foundation. Yeah.
This is where it all began, where we came home after, seeing the Fresh Prince and decided that we would build a skyscraper and in 10 years, or rather 15 years, start a podcast based on a different sitcom.
Yep, that's right.
That I had not seen yet.
The seed was planted. We really, child labor is a real tragedy in this world, and I thank God above every day that we survived. You know what I remember about that concert was that you heard it on the clip, those claps along to the beat of the song. I mean, it's better known now, but back then you really, if you hadn't been there, you wouldn't know that he was going through the crowd and slapping people.
I was really hoping I would be one of the slappies.
Right. Yeah, no, it was just, he was really enthusiastic about it. It was great.
Yeah, some things never change.
No, you know what? But you know what? Chris Rock was not present, so that's probably why he was taken by surprise. But it's a sign of affection more than it is anything else.
It was just like the raw energy of the concert. I mean, you could hear it.
You know what I love about you guys?
What?
You're always so topical. Like right after something happens, like you're on it.
We're right. When was that 9 months ago?
Yeah, that was a while ago, man. I'm not sure if that's still considered topical. But
all of our references are recent and appeal to young people. And
now
none
let's
of our
keep talking
references.
about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
That's right. So
a
we're
sitcom
here,
that ended in what, 2000?
not even, no, like 96 or something.
Oh wow.
We are here today in our screening room. We're sitting in you know how AMC has all the recliners now? We got a good deal on the old seats. So they're just the old, bucket seats. They are sticky. They
got chunks taken out of them.
Yeah, missing chunks. And
I
the
found
chunks that
popcorn
are
on
there. Yeah, popcorn.
Oh, dibs.
It was good. No, it was good. I already had it. It was listen, whatever they do, they fill it with so many preservatives that it tasted like it just came right out. Yeah.
Came right out.
Yum.
Of the popper. You know what I'm talking
popper.
about.
Well, we have a popper. We have it's interesting, you're an interesting guy. We have our own popper, and we got a good deal on kernels, but you only, you'll be sitting there, we'll be watching like Avatar or Avatar The Last Airbender, and you'll just be picking at your seat and digging in there and pulling out popcorn. I mean, it's not that you can't find it, it's that you prefer to use that popcorn.
Mm-hmm. It's inauthentic if it's not pulled from between a seat cushion.
Well, we're here today because we got a listener Raymembrance came in about 5 weeks ago now.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Well, you know what it was? We had to figure out the zoning laws as we discussed.
Right.
Because we are not legally allowed to use the Barone zone to record anything not explicitly about Ray Romano.
Right.
So we had to
did our
screening.
Night Court episode. We went to what was the Lynbrook Howard Johnsons, and now we have gone down to City Hall, and we greased some palms, and and then you came along with your popcorn and picked up a little extra grease, of course.
Yeah, it was great.
And, got a zoning restriction on that lifted for just this one room in the Barone zone, the screening room. And so now we can talk about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air Season 5, Episode 5, which is why we're here today. And the reason we specifically are talking about it, look, we would love to do a Fresh Prince podcast, but we don't. Mm-hmm. Our way in here is that the special guest star of this episode is none other than Brad Garrett.
Woo! Yeah.
That's right.
Our boy. This is pre-Raymond, right?
Pre-Raymond, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fresh Prince, as we just stated, ended in 96, right? So it ended
it literally ended
97.
right as Ray was
ELL
started.
Yeah.
So pre Everybody Loves Raymond. He was a established stand-up at the time, but and he was also doing a lot of like cartoon voices around this time as well, which is not hard to see.
Imagine. No, I can already hear it. Yeah.
But yeah, this was really right before Raymond, and the role of a lifetime for Brad came along shortly after this. It's called Fresh Prince the Movie, this episode, and before we start, we're just going to break it down scene by scene because we were sent this by Ali Hadi, who wrote to Raymond at postfund.info and sent us this Raymembrance. And we're just going to break it down scene by scene. We started to do this on Season 1, Episode 17, but realized that there was just too much here because it is quite the episode. Before we do that, let's share our experience with the Fresh Prince, not the man, but the show. Obviously, we all met him when we were 9.
We were disappointed they didn't slap us.
Yeah. What was interesting about that venue was you could pay. We had lawn seats. And the more you paid, obviously, standard venue rules, the more you pay, the closer you get to the stage. But the slap zone was sort of like behind the lawn. Like he really had to walk from the stage all the way up.
He had to walk.
The real money was the aisle seats.
That's right. That was your best chance, honestly. If you didn't pay for the slap zone, which was beautiful, by the way. There was like a pagoda over it, and there were cabana boys bringing people drinks.
There was a sculpture of Will Smith's hand just hovering over everybody. It was
It's interesting that they did that too, because this was this was a multi-act concert, but a large part of it was oriented towards the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. Anyway, so for me, the Fresh Prince was one of the lineup of syndicated sitcoms that I watched a lot as a kid. So I've seen most every episode. I don't remember if I did a focused rewatch of it, but I've definitely one way or another seen the bulk of these episodes, and so I'm pretty familiar with the characters, with the premise, with all of it, with the sort of sense of humor of the show, which is a lot more like meta and weird sometimes than Raymond. Mike, what was your experience with The Fresh Prince?
Almost none, to be perfectly honest with you. I have caught a few episodes, and every time I've seen an episode of The Fresh Prince, I've thought it was a great TV show. But I mean, told you before, I didn't really watch many TV shows in syndication. Pretty much watched Raymond as it was coming out when I was younger. And I mean, Fresh Prince just never really crossed the screen, so I never really, I know Carlton, of course, from The Dance. I know Will Smith from, I think the first movie I watched with him was Pursuit of Happyness, but I knew of the TV show, but was definitely not one of the standard rotation for me.
You know the little kid in Pursuit of Happyness, how he has the Rubik's Cube, and then Will Smith solves the Rubik's Cube in the cab. That was my Rubik's Cube.
That was yours?
Yeah. I sent it in as part of a contest.
Yeah, you asked him to help you solve it, right?
Yeah, that was the premise, was that this was an entirely separate marketing stream from the movie, because the movie hadn't been shot yet. There was this contest. It was on the back of Boo Berry cereal, where it was a picture of Will, and he was holding a Rubik's Cube, and it was solved. And there was no mention that this was Will Smith. If you didn't recognize him, you didn't know. And he said, I know how to solve Rubik's Cube. Big letters. I know how to solve Rubik's Cube. And no article either. He called it Rubik's Cube. I know how to solve Rubik's Cube. And if you send in proof of purchase of this cereal and your Rubik's Cube, I will solve it.
Oh, yeah.
And send it back to you.
I heard about that. It was part of the...
No, because they used it for the movie. So what they were doing, hundreds of kids sent in their Rubik's Cube for with the hope that this man would solve them for them. And I know for a fact, because my neighbor sent it and he got it back, but I know I did not receive it back. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, that's my Rubik's Cube. So
How do you know it was yours?
Well, because I had taken off some of the stickers and switched them out with stickers from a different Rubik's Cube, as sort of it's sort of marking a baby when it comes out, so you know that you don't lose it. That was sort of my calling card of, okay, so that is an orange square from a Rubik's Cube from 2008, but this is a 2007 Rubik's Cube, which it's a very slight difference in pigmentation. You're able to tell that
on just a regular TV.
Well, yeah. Well, luckily HD had come around at that point, but I guess the whole premise was they were looking for the best Rubik's Cube with the best action that Will could solve on screen, the clickiest for the sound department, and then just visually the most beautiful one. So in a way, I'm flattered, but I also would like my Rubik's Cube back.
Adam, I don't even know what to think about that.
So, Alex, what was your experience with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
I'm glad you asked, Mike, dear old pal of mine. Believe it or not, even less than yours. This episode, which is Fresh Prince the movie, I believe it's called, was the very first episode of Fresh Prince I've ever seen.
Wow.
And yeah, my whole life I've never watched an episode. Not for any other reason than just it was never on when I was watching TV. And I knew the theme song because of memes and the internet, and I like it a lot. And I don't know anything about it, except Will Smith. Oh, actually, since you guys were kind of telling us how you guys came across Will Smith, I knew who he was because at the Burger King that was in Lynbrook, but has since been closed.
We've covered this, yes.
Yes. Well, no, this is actually...
I don't know if that got cut out or not. But
this is the real Burger King that was actually in Lynbrook.
Yes, everything we describe is real. Go on.
Yes. What are you implying?
I'm just clarifying that this is real. like everything we say on this podcast.
Honestly, that Burger King detail might have been before we were describing real details about Lynbrook. But
well, anyway, at this Burger King, my dad and I used to go when I was a kid, and I remember on the wall there was like movie stills from the movie Men in Black.
I forgot he was in Men in Black. I love that movie.
And like a quote from Will Smith, and it said his name, and I'm like, all right, that's Will Smith. And I also have not seen Men in Black ever as well.
What was the quote? Was it from Men in Black, or was it like an inspirational?
I don't know. It was like, "I'ma hunt me some aliens" or something like that. I'm not sure.
That's interesting. There was like that weird era where McDonald's and Burger King like had the decorations like sort of Hollywood themed, right?
Oh yeah, no, this Burger King had like the car as a table, and like the red, blue, and yellow lights. Like this was an old fashioned Burger King, which was just a Burger King at the time.
A few years ago, it was in Queens. Alexa and I went to a McDonald's, I think it was, that was like fully like a time capsule, like from the 90s or whenever they had all of this wild decoration and stuff, and it was super cool. I wish they still did that instead of the like weird like polished version that they do now, where it's like, let's not kid ourselves, this is trash.
You're pretending you're an actual restaurant.
Yeah, just be fun for kids.
It feels insincere.
Remember when they just have a straight up square as the McDonald's, and it's less fun. I'm with you.
You're gonna have to explain that to me.
What's
the new building of McDonald's is just a straight up box. They're not even. True. They don't have anything fun in there whatsoever. It's come in and get your slop. What's
great about McDonald's is that they used to be all fun and their mascot was a clown, and now they've painted all their buildings gray. It's like a real 180, I feel like.
It's like McDonald's grew up and died with us all.
Yeah, they need to bring back McDonald's land. That's my pitch.
Fuck, marry, kill. Grimace? No.
I mean, you don't even have to finish that
Carlton
sentence.
Or Brad Garrett.
Grimace for all of the above, my friend.
Fuck, marry, then kill Grimace.
Yes, in that order.
All right, we're probably gonna cut this, but that was great.
Christian men marry, fuck, then kill Grimace. But,
sorry.
Yeah, some of that's gonna. I don't know.
We're talking about Raymond, and now suddenly we found ourselves.
No, we're not. We're talking about Fresh Prince, Mike.
We're talking about Fresh Prince, and suddenly we ended up on fucking Grimace.
Oh, that's interesting, Alex. Yeah, I remember the McDonald's decorations used to be a lot more fun than the gray box that it is now.
Yeah, I'd fuck Grimace.
I guess.
Please keep that in. Just that. Blooper reel. Hello.
So I guess I'm the only one who really watched Fresh Prince to any extent. Mm-hmm. It sounds like Mike at least saw a couple. Alex only knows what he knows from cultural osmosis. Yeah. I guess I'm the expert here.
Yeah, you kind of are. Like I said, I'm familiar with the characters, but far from a super fan.
Yeah,
I know Will Smith. That's it.
But I also watched this episode 3 weeks ago when we got the Raymembrance in, so I don't remember any of the details of it. So I'm going to have you guys who watched it today.
Yeah, Mike and I were we were sitting at the in the Barone zone committing blasphemy, watching something other than Everybody Loves Raymond on our 100-inch flat screen television.
Damn it! Now we're gonna get sued.
100-inch CRT television.
That's right. That's a good detail.
Yes,
that is a good specific. Yeah, we have the nicest CRT tube
that's
TV
ever been made. It was made last year. It's for collectors.
Let's while we're watching this, or while we're breaking this down, let's just turn the old CRT on. Listen to that warm huzz. put buzz and hum together. That's what a CRT will do for you. It'll put your buzz in your hum. And let's just turn the DVD player on and let's get that thing bouncing around. Ooh, there it goes. The DVD logo.
Is it gonna hit the corner?
It's gonna get.
Maybe next time.
Well, let's just leave it on the whole time, and I am gonna turn the volume down because those boops are annoying. So why don't you guys go ahead and tell us why don't you crack open this episode for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So we open straight up. This episode went very differently than I was expecting, but we open up with 3 people whose names Mike knows.
So we got Will. That's his character's name. Yeah, Will Smith. We got Carlton and Jazz, right? Jazz is the third guy? Yeah.
Jazz,
Carlton and Jazz. And they're all playing poker. Jazz is on a real hot streak.
Oh, my God.
And apparently it's been going on for way longer than just tonight. So Will tries a new strategy of distracting Jazz while they play. And it gets, pretty... it's pretty easy to see that's what he's doing after maybe the first cutaway is gone. But
it's never like confirmed. It's never like he says. It's not like he pulls Carlton aside and insults the intelligence. They're just like, hey, let's just roll with me on this.
No,
they just
like that. They just yes and this shit.
Yeah,
just like
exactly.
They're both so tired of losing. They're just kind of like into it.
Well, they've lost $13,000 to him, which. I mean,
that's a lot of money.
That's like 6
over the course of
purchases
5
for Ray.
years, but yeah.
So Adam, I know that Carlton's the rich boy, but at this point in the show, does Will also have that kind of cash on hand, or is this just severely irresponsible of him?
I could totally see Carlton having access to that. I think Uncle Phil was at least so their sister Hillary, or Carlton's sister Hillary, is always spending Uncle Phil's money. It feels very weird to explain the premise of this show, by the way.
I don't know. I just want to know, like, because I know that there are instances of Carlton, basically pulling it's a banana. How much could it cost? $10. But there's I don't remember Will Smith ever falling into that trap.
Yeah, I don't think he. I don't think he has a $13,000 to give to Jazz. I think it might be a situation where Carlton writes the check and Will's like, "I'll get you later," sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But like Alex is saying, they sort of look at each other and they yes and this idea of telling Jazz a story to distract him about Will being in Alabama because he witnessed a murder while he was in Philly.
And had to go on witness protection.
That's right.
I do love throughout this episode, just the running bit of like, at any point Jazz is like, wow, really? And Will's only response is like, yeah, so Annie up, we're doing double aces today. I love that as the running thing. The whole, an entire episode being not in the same set and in multiple different sets. This is a whole story, a whole saga. Yeah.
Then we go into like...
I didn't even consider that.
Will's narration of the story, and he's at Duke's restaurant with Lakeisha. And this is what I wrote down. Again, I watched this 3 weeks ago, and I'm looking at the notes for the first time today. They're going to fuck because his mom won a trip to Africa.
Yeah.
I thought the insinuation was that they had fucked already. Because,
but they weren't gonna stop anytime soon.
No. That they were going to, if they were continuing, they would have to keep it quiet because his mom is returning soon.
Right.
The line I believe they gave was LaQuisha says to Will, "So what do you think? Am I a better cook than your mom?" And Will's response was, "I'm not sure. My mom typically cooks with clothes on." And so...
Which paints a beautiful picture.
It really does.
Yeah. Dangerous.
True.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, that's cooking with clothes. Like, in all sincerity, that's something bad could happen.
If you or a loved one has experienced injury as a result of cooking naked, call the law offices of Romano and Romano. No relation.
No relation. But yeah, then I forget why LaQuisha leaves, but she does. She steps out for.
I mean, like, Will was going to work, so
Yeah.
she was just dropping him off.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
right.
so
I
he's
forgot
at
that
this-
he worked at this restaurant.
He's at this restaurant and he's like a janitor or like a busboy, and he's sweeping up at the end of the day.
Then right afterwards, right after she leaves, our very special man comes out of the back room.
That's right. I was
Our special
deeply
boy.
offended that there was no, you know how sometimes a guest star will come on and people will be like,
will
woo!
applaud. Well, this was before Raymond. This was
No, they should, in
probably
my
back when he
opinion,
was.
They should go back into the file and cut out that applause or that lack of applause and plug in, you know, take it from Betty White showing up on something. Like, that's the level that I think
And
that
then-
just-
They
but
should do a
but like-
freeze frame because
but
like
like,
they don't
yeah.
they can't extend
Slow
the
it
scene.
down.
Yeah,
When,
slow motion.
So that way, when he comes on screen, you just hear in the background, it's like, "I love you, Betty."
Yeah, exactly. But
Betty,
we see
you're still alive.
oh my god. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Who would have? But we see Brad Garrett finally come through, superimposing. Will is immediately scared, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I get it. I'd be scared if a man of Brad Garrett's size was around me, and he
And came at you full force.
Yeah.
yeah, because he's like, what's going on here? And what was the line? I'm with the health
I'm
department.
with the health department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Even
he
though
immediately drops that explanation and tries to strangle Will because apparently that's what the health department does. And
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
check your breathing.
Yeah, I don't know what he was. Why give the excuse at all if you're just going to strangle, unless you're waiting to see Will be like, you know, I'm with the health department, and Will's like, oh, great, pleasure to meet you. I'm going to leave now and not go into the room that you just came out of. Like, unless that's the scenario, I think, you know, just cut straight to the strangling. That's my only note.
And then you'd have time for the applause.
That's right.
yeah, there you go. That's it.
That's
but yeah,
the Barone Boys cut of this episode. We would cut out
Every time.
the health department line, and we would add in applause.
I would throw in.
We re-release the entire series, and that's the only
The
change we
only
make.
difference.
The only difference is this becomes, instead of a 22-minute thing, this is a 30-minute thing. We round out the 30 minutes, and it's just 8 minutes of applause breaks every time Brad Garrett steps on the scene.
But as he's strangling Will, the mailman comes in and he runs off, and then
I
they
believe his name is Kirby. Is Kirby a recurring character?
absolutely
Because-
not. I don't
Okay,
think
because
so.
Will, in the next scene, Will refers to him by name, and I'm like, oh, are we supposed to know who that is? Yeah.
I think
but-
that's just good old fashioned world building.
Yeah, I mean, Will's like, this didn't happen. Will's trying his best to like make it sound realistic. So if you just drop names nonchalantly, that's gonna help it kind of sell.
Yeah.
Kirby the mailman was played by nobody and is not in the cast list. Hold
Maybe,
on.
yeah,
No,
maybe I got the
he's-
name wrong.
Lucille, Lakeisha, Big Bertha, Fingers, Agent Moore, Hatfield McCoy, Curtis. Could it be Curtis?
It might be Curtis. I might have
sound-
messed up the name.
That maybe, but like,
But whatever it was, it's not a recurring character. I was just kind of curious as to if there was some other person that the boys drafted into this lie. But anyway,
Not at this point, but they do go on to incorporate everybody that all of them know,
yeah.
or at least the immediate family. Yeah.
So anyway, Will sees Brad run outside after the mailman appears because this hitman is scared off by the postal service, and they walk into the back room.
Well, you know
and-
it's a felony to assault a postal worker,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah,
So
that's where they get you.
and he's fine assaulting a normal person, but
No,
not a postal worker. That would put him
that's how
away
they
for
got
too long.
Capone.
No, because the postal service can find anyone. You want to stay on their good side.
Yeah.
That's right. If there's a murder a murdered postal victim, postal worker, all they have to do is write "return to sender" on their forehead and dump them in a mailbox.
And then follow it, and then they'll catch the killer.
Anyway,
that's good. That's really good.
They run back and they see that Duke is dead.
I was kind of taken aback. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, oh, this is a cute family sitcom. And then there was the fairly explicit sex joke, and I was like, I mean, all right. And then they walked in and they showed a dead body, and I was like, holy crap, they're going in right now. Okay.
Yeah, this was not really a family show. It was pretty horny.
Clearly.
I mean, we're used to horniness here in the Barone Zone.
Oh, yeah. We've seen it all. And I do mean all.
It did not phase us.
And then we get the line, but yeah, they're looking at the body. Will's like, I was freaking out because, I'd never seen a body before. And then we get the line, Curtis or Kirby or whoever it was, isn't phased. He says he works in the post office. He sees him all the time. I just like that Will was losing his mind.
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah.
After which,
we cut to the FBI building, and a lineup comes in, and classic visual gag in the lineup of
Absolutely.
Two very short guys and then him, and we find out that Brad is playing a guy named John Fingers O'Neill, number one hitman.
I love it when names make a full sentence.
John Fingers O'Neill. I mean, it means he's either a real tough strangler or he is a killer on the piano.
Well, so Lynbrook has that Irish bar, right? O'Neill's, and there's.
Oh, is that next to O'Flanagan's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's in Little
across
Ireland.
The street, across the street from O'Connor's, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And of course, O'Reilly is right there as well.
And, yeah, right in the basement of Oh My Gosh.
O apostrophe Oshkosh B apostrophe gosh. This is all in Little Ireland in Lynbrook, but they have a newspaper up in there from the Dublin Times with that headline, John Fingers O'Neill. It's a long way to go for that joke.
That was a long way to go. We got there, though. I think it was worth it. I think it was a fun trip.
Fingers is the number one hitman for the mob, and Will identifies him, and then the agent leaves, and Will is, getting in his face through the one-way glass, and then he turns around and Fingers comes up and busts through the glass and strangles him from behind.
That was really cool.
It was.
The way that was shot. It was so fun.
Pretty badass.
Yeah.
And then he escapes, and we find out later that he bowled over 9 agents and a dog, which is a pretty Robert, level of destruction left in his wake. Although I don't think Robert would hurt a dog. But I could definitely see Robert clotheslining 9 FBI agents.
Yeah, me too.
And then Will gets put into witness protection in a trailer park in Deliverance, Alabama.
Yes,
of course.
With the put there by the FBI agent that did not give a shit that he was being strangled above the floorboard.
Right.
He didn't notice.
Yeah,
probably.
It happens. He had AirPods in.
Oh God,
he's got his AirPods
in. But yeah, so Will expresses that he is not happy with being in Deliverance because he's a city boy. He's got to go clubbing. And I believe the line that the FBI agent gives was the nearest town is Hatred, Missouri. I can
Mississippi.
Hatred, Mississippi. I can check to see if they have dancing.
They have dancing. He did not check.
No, he didn't at all. No. But yeah, then we see Will just kind of getting accustomed to his life. And at this point, I believe we have our first cutaway to which we notice that Jazz is just losing constantly and he's not really giving a crap at all. He's just
he wants to hear the story.
Yeah, he wants to know more.
Absolutely. It was beautiful casting.
And then we and then Will lies down in his trailer bed, tries to fall asleep. We hear him muttering about LaQuisha. and about how her butt is not that saggy. And then we see a shadow appear of a bunch of fingers, threatening fingers. And Will wakes up and screams, and the camera turns around to reveal that it's Uncle Phil in a toupee, because they brought the entire family down to Deliverance, Alabama.
And then we go outside, or they go outside, and we see this trailer park set, which, you know, as viewers of Raymond, it's almost, you know, it's easy to feel envious of this. It is an expansive, like,
So
this is
good.
they've got a crane shot over it. It's really, really large and detailed, and it's like on Raymond, we're lucky if we get one other set.
Is this why it's called Fresh Prince the movie? Is that what they were referencing? Because they have all of these sets?
I think it's more just that he's telling this story and all of the family are in it. But yeah, I mean, it certainly puts Raymond to shame.
Yeah,
the
it
number
does.
of sets and the varieties, and just the number of people in it. Carlton is continuing to win while Jazz is distracted, and
At this point, they just cut away to Jazz, like, straight up hemorrhaging money. Like, he's getting annihilated. And is this where he drops the line where he says, like, I feel like my concentration is slipping?
yeah.
Anyway, tell me more of the story. Yeah.
Anyway, what happens next?
Yeah.
So I thought it was funny that even in this fake story, like, as you would see if you watched a lot of this show, Will and Uncle Phil have a lot of heart-to-hearts. And even in this fake story that he's telling Jazz, he's like, oh, you know what would really make it realistic? Me and Uncle Phil are going to have a heart-to-heart about being in the program.
Yeah. We did skip this. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say, like, we did skip this earlier on. I loved the monologue that Uncle Phil gave when he first appeared. He's like, well, you see, Will's like, what are you doing here? He goes, well, you see, Will, I married a woman named Vivian.
Oh, yeah.
And then she had a sister named Vi. And I just like that monologue. I was just like, this is the stuff of, I don't know Uncle Phil's actor's name.
James Avery.
James Avery is
James
such a
Avery.
good actor. Like, that was just beautifully done.
He's
beautifully timed.
rightfully considered one of the best to ever do it by us. That's why
Yes.
he's number 10.
We
barometer.
reference him as number 10. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he absolutely crushes this whole episode, and in fact, most episodes of this show.
Yeah.
He and Will have their heart-to-heart outside, and then he walks away, and this, like, spacey guy approaches and sort of sidles up to Will, and he's like, I hear you like to go dancing. I didn't know if
Strange
this
man.
was just a strange guy or is this gay panic. It was very much. Sometimes this show.
Oh, I
has
read
some,
it as just a weird guy. But
Yeah, I hope
maybe
so.
maybe I missed it. Yeah.
But anyway, they back to the game. Jazz asks where the hitman was while they were in Alabama, and we cut to the bank's kitchen, where Fingers is tearing things apart, going through drawers. And he finds this letter from Hillary to Neiman or Marcus.
As he reads this letter, which is just asking about, I forget what it exactly was asking about, but as he reads this letter, Brad Garrett mouths and Hillary's voice comes out, and
This is so funny.
well done. And is this also when we get as he leaves, he's like, got it, and puts it in his jacket pocket. And he leaves and he sees a picture of Will's graduation photo, which he takes with him. And is this when we get the zoom in and the, oh my God.
The freaky shot of his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I watched this episode, I looked it up on YouTube just to see if I could find anything about it, and there was just a 9-second video of this clip with the thumbnail being of just his eyes, and I think the caption was just yes.
What a shot.
Yeah,
It's like
and-
the satanic version of the shot of Robert looking at Shamsky in The Dog.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. That's a good comparison. We really don't get that many, like, this is like a cartoonish villain smile. We don't get many of those moments from Brad Garrett and Raymond, and this is just, he crushes this.
He's not supposed to be like, you know, threatening in that way in Raymond.
No, you're right.
Well, and
But it
this
would be
show
great.
is the reality of this show overall is more heightened and more cartoonish. And Raymond, you know, would we love to see an absolutely batshit episode of Raymond? You know it.
Oh my
But-
god. Well, there is one coming that I'm looking forward to. But we'll
good.
talk about that later. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like they really embraced on Fresh Prince doing weird stuff like that. Like I remember one cold open where they're talking about something and then Will is like, they don't even have a roof, and then the camera pans up to the studio lights over the set.
Yeah, that's yeah, you're
That's
not going to
good.
get that in. That's good, but you're not going to
Yeah.
get that in Raymond. You're never going to get a fourth wall break like that.
We go back to the game. Carlton mentions the bear, and
Oh yeah, because Jazz is trying to leave. Is this? Yeah, this is when we get a call from Jazz's wife. We
Oh, yes.
hear that Jazz is hiding from his wife, and then the phone rings, and Will picks it up, and we hear the Animal Crossing chatter on the other end. Yeah, it's good. That was a pretty good impression.
that was really good.
Yeah, there you go. And she's freaking out because it's clear that they were not at the pottery class, which is what Jazz told her. And instead, they were, you know, doing this stuff, and she's pissed. And Jazz is like, I gotta go home. And that's when Carlton throws out the, but you haven't heard about the best part, the bear. And yeah, then we get this.
Yeah, so he pimps Will out into telling him about the bear. And we go back to the story, and Phil, Carlton, and Will are hiking through the woods into town, presumably Hatred, Mississippi, for food. And this is, again, a whole forest set and a fake bear.
Yeah. Which
is-
the bear looked really realistic.
The bear looked great. Was it a fake? I thought it was a real bear.
The bears don't behave like that, so it's clearly like some kind of person in a costume. Like they don't sit down
Yeah, I
like
don't know
that
if you
bear
can
did.
domesticate a bear.
Yeah. So it was, I think it was just a hyper realistic bear costume.
Yeah. Something, I don't remember, but something about it made it register as fake to me. But the bear's owner, so the bear comes in and sort of like pushes Will up against a rock or something, and then the bear's owner comes into the forest clearing, and it's Bertha. And
We hate Bertha.
did she assault Will in this?
She came
is that
on a
implied?
little strong, and by that I mean yes, she assaulted.
She
Will.
Oh my
straight
God.
up, yeah, it was straight up sexual assault. It was not close. Will's like,
Bertha
yeah.
is canceled.
yeah, Bertha's super canceled, especially in the next scene. But like, basically, Will's like, "Oh, thank you so much for saving us from the bear," and Bertha basically smacks Will on the ass and starts coming on to him. And my question in this scene is, in canon, fucking Carlton and Uncle Phil are 4 feet to the side, and they're not doing anything. Like, I don't know. I was just kind
They're
of like,
not intervening at all.
like,
No,
what the
they're
hell?
not. That's a good point.
Wow. I hope they excused themselves from the clearing before the actual, if they didn't intervene, I hope they weren't there.
Maybe they did run off. Maybe I missed that shot. But
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, that was my thought when I was watching it. I was like, Uncle Phil and Carlton were also supposed to be cornered. I thought. But yeah, we see Bertha, and they do a big thing of like Bertha being gross and having stuff in her teeth and all this stuff, and but we see her basically kiss Will and fade to black, and we get back to the game in which Will says, "Thank you, Carlton. I had forgotten about Bertha," and Carlton says, "Forgot her? You almost married her."
Carlton
again,
is
it's-
like the worst improv scene partner. Yeah, so then they go to the trailer park again, and the Bankses are eating dinner outside when this mob of armed hicks, the McCoys, approach and tell them that Will somehow got Bertha pregnant that afternoon, And the wedding is set for tomorrow at noon. And they also know that some big fella is looking for Will. Because he was asking about him in the general store.
So yeah, the two things that I want to say is not only did Bertha commit assault, which good God, spend the rest of your life in jail. In addition, she tells her parents that he got her pregnant and I'm gonna marry him. And Uncle Phil tries to step in and then realizes he can't because he says something that contradicts the witness protection story.
Right.
That's right.
And but I will say that they come in. All of the Hicks have guns, by the way.
Of course.
But when Will tells them, hey, so my mom's in Africa, she's going to want to be at the wedding, they're like, oh, we'll wait for her to get... Like, they drop off real quick. Like, the threat disappears in an instant, and then they all fire their guns into the sky in celebration of this wedding. Which, again... just the tonal shift from, like, we're going to kill him from getting my daughter pregnant to a wedding. Fantastic.
I think that was always the plan. I think they were threatening him when he was, like, actively resisting the idea of marrying her.
Okay.
And then we go to the party scene of them celebrating these nuptials. Again, like, more extras than Gandhi in this, like, 15-second scene. And they're doing a choreographed dance, and it's a whole production.
They went ham. They went in on this.
But Will and the McCoys are planning an ambush because they know that Fingers is coming to get Will. They're planning an ambush for him. And then we go to later when Fingers arrives, and it's sort of a parody of Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Where they're standing across from each other in the trailer park, and the little...
You hear the...
Yeah. And then he gets... Brad gets some lines, right? In this scene, like his first, other than the health inspector. I was worried that he was going to be under 5 for this, but I guess not. No, he has some lines in this scene.
So under
right?
5?
Under 5 lines. Yeah,
okay.
They have to pay you less if you don't say more than 5 lines.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. He says they do a back and forth, but it's not very long. It's like Will gives the classic speech about, Fingers, you can come across the world to find me and all that, but I have one thing that you don't have. I have family. Family being the code word for the Hicks to come out with their guns blazing. And then they don't come out, and he says family about 6 or 7 more times. O'Neill gets continually confused, and they cut away to the Hicks all being blackout drunk in the 2 minutes between when they arrived and when Will needed them.
And as Will is saying family over and over again, he's like, so what? I've got a sister in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Which was a funny line.
It was.
And then...
I wish he said brother on Long Island.
Yeah, I wish so too.
I've got a brother and a mother and a father and a sister-in-law.
They all live across the street. That's right. Anyway.
He turns towards the camera and takes a rake out from behind him and starts...
You said the first appearance of the cast of Everybody Loves Raymond is on the conveyor belt in this scene.
This Raymond is a spin-off of just this episode of Raymond.
And then there's like Fresh a headcanon of like all of Everybody Loves Raymond just being like a story that Will made up in the Fresh Prince.
Will made up a story within a story. And then the last episode of Raymond ends with the ending of this episode, and then Jazz being derelict on the streets because he got so distracted that Will took everything from him. And we find out the whole thing was a tragedy. He dies on the street.
Yeah.
So he says he says this family thing, and then the McCoys we see are passed out drunk, and then Fingers goes in to strangle him. And then we smash cut back to the game, and Jazz is like, "How'd you get away?" And then they're like ante up, and he's out of money, and then they reveal that the whole thing was a hustle.
Yeah, they were like I'm out of money. Well, we're out of story. And yeah, they reveal it's all a lie, and Jazz is very upset. He kind of storms out. Will and Carlton don't care that he's storming out or angry. They're just happy that they made some money.
They
They
some
at least
money.
broke
That's
even.
all they needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They definitely didn't get the $13,000 back, but it's a start.
We don't know that. Maybe Jazz had $13,000 worth of chips on the table.
Maybe he brought it all.
I guess.
I love the idea of this high-stakes poker game taking place in the bank's pool house. But we go to 3 a.m. that night, and Will is sleeping,
Right.
and then there's a knock on the door. Yes.
Oh, I was also going to say, we get the line of Carlton's exit line of like, oh boy, 9 p.m., time for bed, as he leaves.
I relate to that very much.
Yeah, no, that's an Alex line. But yeah,
3 a.m. that night, Will is sleeping. There's a knock on the door, and it's Fingers at the door. And he reaches out as if to strangle Will, and then Will runs away. And then Fingers takes his face off. This is the reason that we felt like we needed to watch this whole episode to understand. Because Fingers takes his face off. It's a mask, and it's Jazz underneath. So how?
I think what we came across was like, okay, so if this was all a story, then how did Will and Jazz have like
The same image.
same person in their mind?
Yeah.
Unless maybe Will used some sort of visual aid when talking about, like, maybe he pulled out a picture of Brad Garrett's like latest stand-up, and he's like, he looked like this guy.
yeah.
And then Jazz went and got in the same day a latex mask that looked exactly like him.
And a suit that made him look about 3 feet bigger than he actually is.
Right.
Yeah.
He pulled a Mrs. Doubtfire.
I guess the easy explanation for this scene is that Will is still asleep. But why would Will dream about Jazz getting back at him?
Especially
Yeah.
because the reveal that it was really Jazz the whole time
Didn't
happened
happen
when
until
Will was
Will
not
was-
in the room. Yeah,
Right.
he ran away.
Yes.
So it can't be a dream,
Well, you don't
Is-
always dream in the first person, Mike.
That's true.
I suppose. But still, I don't buy that explanation.
No, I don't either. I'm just saying.
Is Jazz a shapeshifter?
I don't know.
I think that'd be interesting to watch. Both of you go and rewatch all of this show with the idea in the back of your mind that anytime Jazz is on the screen, he's a shapeshifter who just happens to be
All right,
taking this
pause the episode right now. We'll come back to this in a couple months. Hold on.
form. So what did you think?
Can confirm Jazz is a shapeshifter.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there's
well, like my question is, and I wanted to ask you guys this 6 months ago. If Jazz is a shapeshifter, then why did he need a latex mask?
That's true. That's sort
That's a
of
good
okay.
question.
Let's go back. Let's break up. Let's go watch the entire show again, and with it in mind that Jazz is a professional special effects makeup artist who has a collection of latex masks and costumes and prosthetics that he can wear every time.
Got it. All right,
No, that
so
made a
makes
lot of
sense.
sense. I don't think
Yeah,
anything.
okay.
contradicted
honestly,
that.
gonna be real. Finally, we now have a canonical reason for the change in Aunt Viv.
Right now we understand that it was
Yeah.
actually Jazz.
It was
both
Jazz the whole
times.
time. Yeah.
Wow.
Anytime they're in the same scene together, it's because Aunt Viv, who is where Jazz is actually inhabiting that body, but he's reaching underneath the floorboards and operating sort of almost like an anti-gravity marionette, I guess. If he's
I
reaching
thought
down.
I thought it was like
just him
I thought
running
it was
back
like
and
the
forth real
yeah, like Flash
Oh, you
rules where it's
think?
an after image. Like he's moving at supersonic
Okay,
speed.
let's watch the whole show again, but this time with Jazz is a special effects makeup artist who has all of these costumes, and he has the powers of the Flash.
Guys, this episode is supposed to come out 2 years ago.
God, we've been doing this for so long. Hey, Mike, how's your divorce going?
You know what? I mean, all right for the most part. I think the main complaint was that I was watching too much Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Guys, spoilers for future ELR
Oh, yeah.
ELR arcs. Come on.
Yes, you were
I don't know
married to. So Jazz, I guess where we landed. after all of that was Jazz.
Jazz is a super speedster, hyper
He has the
realistic
powers of the
latex. Has the powers of the Flash. He can like disguise
Has the
himself.
powers of Madame Tussauds.
Oh yeah, like the chameleon, and all of that is coming into play here, in which he was going so fast that he was able to read Will's mind and get a sense of what he thought. That
Oh, he must also be a psychic then.
yeah. Well, no, if you go fast enough, you can read people's mind. That's in the
Oh, is that
Flash.
true?
Well, it's in the Flash season 6, which
It is.
yeah, which came out.
Whoa, spoilers.
Which came out in 2024, but I mean,
Spoilers for nobody.
yeah. But yeah, it's yeah, that's the thing we're landing on. That this doesn't make sense until you consider Jazz's superpowers.
So either Jazz is superpowered or Will is continuing to dream and dreams that he's being gotten back by Jazz, which in a way, maybe in, a Freudian sense, maybe he feels guilty about tricking him and he wants to be gotten back at. And so his dream mind is projecting this for him.
That is possible.
Anyway, so that is the big metaphysical question at the end of this episode. But overall, what was your guys' impression of, for Mike, the most recent, and for Alex, the first episode of Fresh Prince you've ever seen? Alex, what was your overall impression of this?
I liked it. I came for Brad, and I stayed for the witty storytelling and meta humor that we don't get usually when we watch shows. It was a nice change of pace, and I will probably end up watching more if the opportunity arises, though I don't have HBO Max, so can't exactly binge it.
We'll put you on the corporate account.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. You had one?
Well, we do now. I mean,
I had to express order the DVD.
Well, that's good to have. We're big physical media guys.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a collector's item.
We're very paranoid about Apple taking music down. We're those guys.
Yeah.
Mike, what was your overall impression of this episode?
I thought it was a really strong episode. I mean, didn't have anything to do with the rest of Fresh Prince, but it was fun, and I laughed a couple times. So I'd give it a good rating. This is a solid episode.
Yeah, I liked it too. It's just emblematic, I think, of the weirder parts of this show and how they're not afraid to sort of break the reality of the show to tell a good story and to tell some good jokes. And I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the sexual assault.
No, you're right. That didn't age well. That did
Otherwise,
not age well.
There was a period in the 90s, it seems like, where there was nothing funnier than a man getting sexually assaulted.
Yeah, because it comes up a lot. Not in Raymond yet, but like, at least not yet.
Yeah.
But like, it comes up a lot in old 90s TV shows. So
It's pretty troubling.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was that episode. Other than that, I thought it was great. I'm glad we watched it. I was thinking about a way to end this episode. And the only thing that I can think of, because we can't exactly rate Will on the barometer.
No.
Let's go ahead and vote, and we'll do this anytime we explore the wider universe of these people appearing in other shows or Raymond spin-off appearances, like on The King of Queens or something. Let's vote whether we should switch the focus of our podcast from Everybody Loves Raymond to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I guess we could call it Everybody Loves the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Do we want to do that? And
That's what I mean.
Your reason why. So let's go around. We'll start with Alex. Do you want to switch the focus of this show, and why or why not?
No.
Okay. Halfway there.
And the reason I say no is because we're in too deep. We invested all of our money into a Everybody Loves Raymond-themed office space.
Building, yeah.
And skyscraper. It's too late to go back, and we're only through season 1, almost.
Well,
We have so much more to do.
don't you think we could pretty quickly change all the branding on the building and... I don't know, we could call it like Will Hill, I guess
But
we'd
it's
have
not
to.
a hill.
I like that.
We'd have to make
or
it
the
into a
bank's
hill.
space. That doesn't rhyme.
It doesn't rhyme at all.
The bank's bank.
The bank's
We
bank.
can work in a bank.
Yeah.
My vote is for no. So, Mike, what's your vote? Yes or no?
I think that it would be a lot, given that I now realize how weird this thing is, it would be a lot of fun to do a Fresh Prince rewatch podcast. That being said, I think this was a good performance by Brad Garrett, but there wasn't enough Brad Garrett. I wanted to hear his voice more. Therefore, Raymond stays. That's my vote.
Well, Adam's vote is redundant.
No.
No, he can veto it. He spent more money. He bought this.
True.
He bought this space. He bought this zoning law
from the class action. When I won the lawsuit with the producers of the Pursuit of Happyness, I wanted two things. I wanted my Rubik's Cube back, and I wanted $15 million in compensatory damages.
And the judge awarded it all. Yeah. The judge was John Rubik himself, and he was like,
Yes.
I don't like these people stealing my cubes.
And he, as far as judges go, very fair,
Yep.
but a little distracted. His entire courtroom is a Rubik.
Yeah. And in the middle of trial, the people will be shifting the walls and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation, but he awarded me my Rubik's Cube back. He awarded me $15 million in compensatory damages, and I pooled that with your guys' money, which we won't disclose how much, and then that's how we purchased the building, of course. But
It was a lot.
so I guess yes, in that sense, in the sense that I'm the majority investor here, I guess my vote might count a little bit more. But I have good news for you because I'm also voting no.
Hey.
For the
That's fine.
simple reason that this made my family look bad. The McCoys.
You're right. The McCoys did not come out of this being. I will say that I think generally. Well, actually, no. I didn't realize that the McCoys were. I thought the reveal of them being friendly towards Uncle Phil and Will was the reveal that they just like carrying their guns around. They didn't actually mean to threaten Will. They were just trying to meet the new son-in-law. I realized that was wrong, but I thought when I saw that scene initially, I was like, huh, turns out that Bertha's the only absolutely horrible one. But guess that's not the case.
They're good people. They're my father's aunt's son's boys, the McCoys, one of them, the main McCoy.
The real McCoy.
Yeah, the real McCoy. That's his name.
That's his name?
Real.
Real.
He loves to fish. And he is a good man. He volunteers for the fire department. He was a 9/11 firefighter. So I'm going to be suing the Borowitzes who created this show. I'll sue Will. Why not? Actually, I'm not going to sue Will because I know how that's going to... Have you heard the phrase slap suit?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, there we go.
Ayo.
So yeah, it's a no for me. But they will be hearing from my lawyers, Romano and Romano. No relation. But that's the end of this episode for us. Look, we did it. Thank you so much for sending this in. There's only one last thing to say, our classic sign-off, the
Fresh
Prince
of
Bel-Air.
And we love you.
Bye.
See you
Thanks
next
for
time.
listening, guys.